What's up, guys? Todd Special here, and I'm excited to tell you that I'm going to be one of several extraordinary speakers at an event called The Power of We on April 28th. In Chicago, Illinois, at the Stan Mansion. This event is put on by a brilliant human who loves to touch the lives of every person he comes in contact with, executive producer Lauren Harris. This event is for the kids, so we're going to keep it clean, but we're going to keep it fun and very impactful. So if you're busy on April 28th, get unbusy. If you think this event isn't for you, you are wrong. Guys, join us April 28th at the Stan Mansion in Chicago, Illinois, for probably one of the most powerful events of the year, The Power of We.
The Power of We was a way of inclusion, a way of inviting anyone who needed or wanted a place to belong.
It was just very clear to me that this was something that would really benefit the young folks right here.
And to be able to give them a different perspective, that I know where they come from, I know what they're experiencing because I was there too, and letting them know that there's different actions that they can take that'll lead to a different destiny.
We really needed to hear that. In order to change our community, we needed to hear that.
And they are inspired to invest in making it happen. That's powerful.
Look at me moving stuff around. Good morning. Look at y'all looking all good. Yes, good morning. Listen, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I'm not kidding you. And it's not just because of the weather outside. It's because of the climate in our minds. Can I get an amen? Welcome each and every one of you to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. And I tell you all the time, and I mean it, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else on the planet, except perhaps Fiji, than right here with you guys. And it's such an honor. We're here to have another illuminated conversation where when we come together, two or more of us, and we have the same mindset, heart set, soul set, guess what happens? The promise says something wonderful. Two or more of us. So here we are. That's the bell of purpose. You know what that means. It's not just some clever gimmick, not a show prop. It's more of a reminder, an opportunity, if you will, to pick up something I'm sure you will be glad you picked up later, if not immediately. That's the truth. When you hear the bell ring, that tone you hear in the air is the same thing that you hear when you hear the truth. There's a ring to it, right? So I just want you in your busyness to not miss something that could change your life or help you to change the life of someone else. So when you hear the bell, tune in, right? Okay, you guys, we're here. Say good morning to my sidekick. You know her. She's been here 6 years. Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. She was out yesterday covering up her ears, getting her roots done. She was in the dishwasher. But anyway, she's back. How you doing? Guess what I did finally? After 3 years of drinking flavored coffees exclusively, I went, well, I was at Costco. I just joined that, remember, a few weeks ago. And this time I bought regular Colombian coffee. And what a refreshing experience it is proving to be. Except I don't know how to, I got to change how much I put in there. Because this cup that I have here today, I filled it with water. Well, it gets halfway down, I fill it back up with water. I'm on the third time. That's how strong that original batch was. So if I start like shaking and shit, y'all will know why, okay? Don't you wish they had 911 for if you're on a Zoom call or something? Think about it. If I was thinking about, I was talking to somebody a few weeks back because I had a client during COVID. COVID hit her during a coaching session. She broke out sweating. Kessa Gooden, she was on here talking about it, remember? And yeah, hours later, she was wandering the streets of Las Vegas out of her mind, didn't know who she was. And right. So ever since then, I was like, why isn't there a way like OnStar in a car where if, say, we were on a Zoom call and all of a sudden one of us started having something, you could get help? Wouldn't that make sense? See? Man, if I see like next year somebody, brand new billionaire comes up with idea on how to, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, you guys, today, do you remember a couple days ago, some of you going to act like you didn't see it because not very many people responded. I put it out there. I put it everywhere that, the Power We would like someone to volunteer to write a press release for us because we have a real big opportunity for some great press for the Power We Symposium. And who do you know? I asked. Crickets. Now, I can't believe either that's a career field that is wide open and more people need to know how to do it because I couldn't find anybody clearly and I had no recommendations. So then, but here's why. Nothing is ever about just one thing. So here's what happened. I'm sitting there going, what am I going to do? And boom, ding. What? Call who? I didn't hear you. Who? Robert Garcia. Oh. And just like that, we have someone who says, I will do it. I will write the press release. Don't forget the people that you have sitting in the front row seats of your life. You know, oftentimes we automatically run out the house looking. Sometimes we need to treat need like we would treat ourselves if we were on fire. They tell you, drop and roll. Keep your ass where you're at first. Then, and I know because I caught on fire once and I did exactly what they told you not to do. Two little girls said, drop and roll, Uncle Lauren, drop and roll. If they hadn't said that, I don't know what would have happened. And so I'm telling you, treat it that way. Always look within reach first because you might be surprised. And it's a great thing to help you remember about the law of attraction and that you are in places where you are celebrated, no longer just those places where you were tolerated. Can I get an amen? Come on now. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Quit playing. So anyway, that's who's in the house today. He's been here before. So put your hearts on the screen. Put your hearts into this conversation, please, and share it out to one person right now. Bless in the manner in which you expect a blessing. Can I get an amen? Here he comes, y'all. Dr. Rob Garcia. Hello, Rob Garcia.
Wow, what an intro, Lauren. I don't even know if I can match the energy, but I'm trying.
You can't. Oh, my goodness. I see a shift. One of these things is not like the other. I see you have a Shift magazine cover on your wall. Excuse me, as do I. But for some odd reason, they don't match. Can you explain that? I'm kidding. Welcome, Rob. Welcome. Clearly, you all know. If you don't, guess who's here? Rob Garcia, Dr. Rob Garcia, does so many things. I've coached with him, worked with him, partnershiped with him, and my favorite cover of all time, no offense to all the others, but my favorite of all time, that's why it's on the back wall, was the Shift magazine cover. Very special to me. A history moment for me. First time on a cover, really speaking to the LGBT and the military sectors of my journey. And I was so grateful to you, Rob, and your team for allowing me to put those two together in a story for the very first time. So welcome to the show, and let's get started. Why don't you just take off and say hello to people, tell them where you are in the world, and thank you for getting up with the crack of dawn, and start by taking us into the beginning, Little Rob, and where that got started, if you could. All you.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I'm Rob Garcia out of San Diego, and Air Force veteran, 21 years. Just got done from some reserve duty. Very glad to be here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a high school dropout and two-time college dropout, severe learning disability. Became an entrepreneur, got my PhD, started a magazine, wrote 8 books, and just went into business for myself because I realized that was the fit for my personality. And so I am living proof that you can accomplish anything you want in the world if you want it bad enough.
So, have you ever been accused of being an overachiever? I'm just saying.
It gets strange with people sometimes when I try and tell them about my life, honestly, because when you get to a certain level of achievement, you get to a certain level of performance, people don't think it's real, or they think that nobody can do that. And I'm here to tell you, it can be done. You just have to believe.
Absolutely right. Now, I'm just gonna put it out there because that's how we are. That's how we are. And I don't care. I ain't gonna mention no names or nothing. But I'm gonna say this because I learned something through you. I really did. I used to put up on the screen a lot. Here, I'll pull it up. I used to put this on the screen. We're diving right in today, y'all. We ain't playing with it. We said illuminated, so that means we're gonna shed some light on some shit. That's what we're gonna do, right? Can I get an amen? So I used to pop this up on the screen. #haters. This, that, and the other. And I thought I knew what it was, but that's why I put it up there, because I was always interested, and still am, in what it means to people. And you get that one answer a lot, well, it just means that you're doing something right, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to tell you how you've impacted my life. It was like, when you start working with somebody, and these were people that I really thought were doing the 360 perspective thing, where they didn't. Sometimes, we throw stuff on people based on what other people say and not on our own experience with that person. And I remember early in life, someone said to me, well, so what if they said he's an asshole? If that's the case, wouldn't you rather know a person is an ass? I can deal with an asshole because that's what they are. They just, but you know what? They can be one of my best friends. I'm an asshole sometimes. So what I'm saying is, I learned that I don't really have haters. I prefer to think I have closet fans. You know what I'm saying? They just in the closet. There's really something they like. They just don't know how to ask how to get it. They just don't know how to ask how to get it. That's all it is. Can I get an amen? Anybody ever experienced that? So anyway, I remember when I first was like talking about doing stuff with you, and some people, well, I don't know. I heard this, that, all this stuff. And the more I heard, I said, what in the world is trying so hard to keep me from putting down roots with this guy? I better go in here and check this out closer. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's been, a 4-year or maybe longer relationship now. I think longer. I think I met you in my first year, or close to the first year, in the first year mark. And I'll never forget, I was just telling the contractors out in the driveway, they're like, who's on your show today? So I was telling them about you. And the first thing I said was how, in one statement, you changed my mindset about scarcity, and why I couldn't make the money I wanted to make with my coaching. And you remember that?
Oh yeah.
That moment.
I still tell that story too. It's incredible.
Took one time. What was happening was we were talking about mastermind program or something. And he was like telling me, now write this down. Looking at the value of your content and this, whatever, Lauren, for that class that you're talking about in your town, this is an in-person thing we were talking about. I think you were saying should be $500 to $700 a month. And so I'm writing notes. I was like, okay. He said $500 to $700 a month, and my hand wrote $300 to $500 a month. And I was like, wait a minute, that is not what you just said. Why in the world did I just do that? And do you remember what you told me?
I remember exactly what I told you. I'm going to let you give the advice unless you want me to share it.
Go ahead. Tell them what you told me.
So I said, Lauren, what you need to do, you need to quit pricing what you can afford. What you can afford.
Right. And I was like, what'd you say? And he said it again. And I was like sitting there stuck for a second. And then, and it changed everything. I believe in the next, 2 months, I think I made like $40,000. I'm pretty sure it was right around $40,000 in the next 2 months. And it wasn't just that one thing we were talking about. I applied that nougat to everything, apparently, because suddenly everything was different, changing up the narrative. So let's talk about what you do in Design Your Own Paycheck. Design Your Paycheck, because that's really where I first was like, who's this? What's this all about? Was Design Your Own Paycheck. Talk about that and what people get when they come and are a part of that program.
Yeah, so Design Your Paycheck's a membership site, and it's not one of these get-rich-quick guys with the Lambo and the helicopter and the pretty girls and all that stuff. It is me teaching 35-plus income streams catered to your business model, your skill set, whatever you want to do. If you want to come in and write a book, if you want to come in and design coaching packages, if you want to make courses and ebooks, all the technicals are there. Design Your Paycheck shows you how to take whatever your skill set is and to monetize it into something sellable. But what the real value is that you're going to learn how to do these things one-on-one with me. So if you've got an ebook, I'm going to show you like how to make it, how to host it, how to do the sale page, how to price it, how to write the content, all that stuff. Design Your Paycheck has all kinds of projects going at any given time. And so it's been an amazing experience. Students have made over about $50,000 in their projects and no contracts. It's win-win for everybody, Lauren.
Mm-hmm. You know what I want people to know about? So you do a lot of, we're similar in this way, is I really believe in giving free value. Mm-hmm. Value. And I love that weekly call. Tell them about that weekly call that anybody can get on and learn how to, you still doing that?
Yeah, I do 2 calls that are free every week. So Tuesday and Thursday from my Facebook groups. So all you have to do, if you want to join, right now it's called Napoleon's Council. So if you just go on Facebook, you type in Napoleon's Council, it'll pop up as a group. Just throw in a request to join. Say Lauren Harris sent me, and I'll give you the red carpet.
Oh.
So we have those weekly calls, and we talk about, it's not networking though, it's more personal or business, and we grow as a family. So that's why the calls are really sought after. People enjoy them.
Yeah. So talk about some of your success stories with your students, because I know quite a few of them. I've done work with quite a few of the people that pass through your gates, and there's always this thing about them all, from the Jillian Sandoval's to the Annette, you know who I'm talking about. Wittenberg, so on and so forth. There's this tenaciousness inside of all of them, this fire, this in the pit of their bellies that I find really, I've learned a lot from them, and not to say, we all, but then everybody's got that other thing. But the one thing that I did see that was consistent, even those people who were a little hesitant about believing it was actually happening to them, they never doubted that fire that was in the pits of their bellies. So what does your ideal client look like? That person that as soon as you start talking with them, that they're a good fit for what you do. What are some of those markers?
Well, they have to really, really want what they say they want. because you and I both know, Lauren, we've worked with people that come at the beginning. It's like a relationship. They're all hot and heavy, and they're like, yeah, I want to do this and I want to do that. You know, a couple weeks in, they're not returning calls, or they're just not getting their deliverables done, or they're not really that motivated. You need a person. The perfect fit for me is a person that is ready to go the entire journey of however long we work together, does the work. Chris McPhee, who we both know, was the greatest client I ever had. Chris got 9 interviews in 10 days. You know why? Well, first of all, he's a former Green Beret / Army Ranger. So already, you know, he's determined.
Yeah.
But I would tell Chris to do something, and he'd say, "Okay, done. You know, here we go." Even if he's on the road, he's answering emails. He's asking for deliverables. He's asking for stuff to do, and he got it done. And he had some of the greatest results. He was my only person I got on TV, radio, podcast, magazine, and newspaper. He was my only 5 out of 5 I've ever had as a client because he did the work. That's a perfect client.
That is a perfect client. I was just sitting here thinking about, because those guys, that's another thing. Like the triple nickel guys, oh my goodness. You know, they've created an official t-shirt. Oh, here, I got to show. An official t-shirt for the very first time for the Power Week that Sherry, do you have the link for that handy? If so, drop it in if you could. If not, I'll get it in at the conclusion of the show. But here's the front of our official t-shirt. Oh, wow. And here is the back of our official t-shirt. You see the 555 on the sleeve. And they're just great people over there. And they also donated, I think it's 170 shirts for the volunteers and to give away to the kids too, which are different from the shirt you just saw. So a portion of each one of those official t-shirts goes to helping fund sponsorship for these kids to the Power Week. It's about $250 per child, and we have 250 children each time. So you can see it can be a bit costly. So anyway, but it's so worth it. So love those guys. Now, let me just ask you this. When people come to you, 2 things. This is a 2-parter. The accountability piece. I know that's one of the things that people listening on the outside think like, why would anybody pay for that abuse? But people that are doing it, you know where I'm going. The accountability, not letting people off the hook. And a lot of people think that that's a rough way to go. How do you feel about how important is it to your relationship with your clients that you're not micromanaging, but you are an accountability partner?
It's very important that you understand the difference between the two ends of management. On one is laissez-faire, where you leave them alone, you give them the tools they need to win, and you just check in on them. And on the other is micromanaging, where you're over their shoulder and tell them to do something. So at the very beginning, you do start off micromanaging to a point just to see how they're doing and to kind of guide them and say, okay, this is how, you probably should be doing this. And then as you gauge them and they're getting results, and if they're doing okay, then you're easing towards leaving them alone and just letting them run wild if they're okay. But you have to have benchmarks. You have to have milestones. You have to have those weekly calls where you're like, okay, did you get X, Y, and Z done? And if they haven't, then you need to talk about why, and you need to be real honest with it. Are they making dumb excuses? Are they making legit excuses? What's happening? Performance needs to be measured, Lauren.
That was a big one for me to learn. I'm so glad that Jason Cisneros was the first person to introduce that to me and told me about a thing he called MEOs, most important opportunities. And I still do that today, where every day I hit my to-do list is based on the most important opportunities of the day, and I get them done because I put them there. And then now, with my systems coach, the numbers, everything you do, the numbers tell a story. They really do. So you have to be consistent or your data is erroneous. And so my next question, Dr. Rob, kind of brings in your educational, the PhD piece with all the street and life pieces that you have. But my question to you is, when people come to you, and I know it's a lot, I see that there are a lot of people you work with, especially our veterans, because you have a lot of veteran clients, and the PTSD and all the stuff that comes. They're so diligent, like a warrior, in executing all of the business components and really knocking out knocking it out of the park. A lot of those things that a usual entrepreneur, someone who hasn't had a military background, struggle with. But then there seems to be that self-confidence piece, that it's like they have a hard time seeing anything about themselves the way that you do or the rest of us do. What do you think that's all about? And is it just something that is tied to PTSD, or is that just a part of finding one's way in business?
Veterans are a very tricky group of people to work with because they all have different experiences. They all have different traumas. They all have different things that they've gone through. For example, some of them, combat veterans, obviously have a whole different series of issues versus somebody like me who had childhood trauma before joining the military. When I'm working with veterans, it's always important to just kind of find out what their experiences have been, just so you can kind of talk them through it. And they have good traits and they have bad traits like everybody else. Very unique identifiers that are specific to their lives. And what I mean by that is that veterans are tenacious. They will work harder than anybody you'll ever meet, but they also will not ask for help.
Yeah, that's true. Even myself, you're absolutely right. I'm getting better at it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things to talk to them, and that's always one of the first things we go over is, hey, if you hit a brick wall, come to me, talk to me about it. Like let's figure this out, because the military, Lauren, the military sends us different messages when it's convenient for the military. What I mean by this is, as veterans, we are taught both figure it out, be a self-starter, be the army of one, versus be a team player, support the person. It's about the man or woman next to you. We get these messages throughout our military careers at different times when it's applicable. So we leave the service feeling very reticent and very wary sometimes about saying, hey, I don't know how to do this, because veterans will just charge right through that brick wall and we'll just, hey, I'm going to try and figure this out, do the best I can. But I'll tell you what, we don't cut our own hair. We need to get those specialists. We need to get those experts. Especially in business, we need to make sure that whatever our weakest areas are, we are supplementing versus trying to do everything by ourselves.
Yeah. And I learned in my own experience, my own journey, it's amazing to me how all these years later, because I served in the 80s, what I learned by, because I was a procurement agent, a contract negotiator. So I worked in an office, and it's kind of prestigious because it was all the attorneys were in that same office and things like that. And you wore your blues every day. And that it's just that when you come in, the way your desk was left, and the way the way everything, it's almost like in basic when they had you folding underwear and stuff. You're like, why in the world? Well, how can this ever be anything important? But nonetheless, all these years later, all of those things mean so much in how I operate within my own universe. Seriously. So I have a question for those entrepreneurs that are listening, because I know for a fact a couple of them need to hear the answer to this one. How do you feel, what's the process you feel the vetting process for people to help them decide when and where to invest dollars into either their personal growth or something that's going to help grow their brand? Because, a lot of people are walking around smelling like soot. What I mean is the smoke from when they were last burned. And so they, you'd think they brought the literal smoke with them because they can't see a true opportunity if it bit them in the face. Because I don't know, what is it that keeps taking so many people into those low yield investments? And how do they go about ascertaining the forest from the trees?
More people put effort into the car they buy versus the coach they hire. You need to hit the bell on that one because it's very true.
I know. I was sitting there going, okay, right, because I'm thinking about my car. You know what? Yeah.
You walk into the car lot. You've done your Carfax. You know what the prices are in similar cars. But do people do that amount of research with the coach they hire, the expert they're looking at hiring? No, they don't. And so this is why there are so many charlatans and these fake gurus out there running the Facebook ads all day long about the 7-figure secret and, I can take you to this and this overnight, and, all the clients you ever wanted and more leads than anybody, whatever. So if you are, and this is a great piece of advice, if you are vetting someone and you're thinking about hiring them, you're at that point, you need to do a couple things, first of all, especially if you're paying over $500. That's about the benchmark. First of all, you want to search them out on Google on the ripoff report, type in their name on Google and the word scam.
Thing.
Oh yeah, there's a ripoff report. A few people I know are on it.
It's called the ripoff report.
Yeah, ripoffreport.com, I think.
Okay.
And so you type in somebody's name. If they're in the ripoff report, they'll pop up. You can also check the Better Business Bureau. For example, Ty Lopez has 47 complaints in the Better Business Bureau.
Well, there's no love lost there, clearly.
He's been a little naughty in the early days. And
the thing about that, real good point right there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
In the early days, so even if that's why you guys always do your best, follow that was yesterday, the 4 agreements, because if you don't, as you're finding your way, you think it doesn't matter. Now, who sees me? I'm a nobody. But then something happens, and all that changes. And then somebody goes and digs all that crap up and says, look at this, because of that footprint you left behind. So really, listen to that point right there. Don't be naughty. Ever.
So that's how you check for dishonesty in criminal history, is the ripoff report and Better Business Bureau. See if there's complaints. The next thing you do is you type in their name and the word scam. Just see what pops up. You'd be surprised. I have nothing to fear because I've never had any type of thing in my 5 years. I fired a client recently, gave him a refund for services unrendered. They cashed it, good to go. That's been the only thing I've ever had in 5 years. An honest person has nothing to fear by a background check, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
So that's the first thing. The next thing you need to do is you need to have a conversation. They need to provide a past client you can talk to, okay? It's not enough to just read that, Sarah S. in Kansas loved working with me. That's not enough. You need to be able to get on a call with Sarah S. or on Messenger or something, talk to them and be like, okay, what was it like working with this expert? What were your results? Was it worth the investment? All that stuff. If a person, an expert, whoever, cannot provide a live breathing person, run.
Right. Testimonials. Hey, Rob, have you ever written a book?
I've written 8.
Oh, yeah, you said that. When we come back, I'd like to go over that and talk about why you did it and what you did with it after you wrote it, and how important is that in the positioning of credibility or whatever you're trying to do as far as impacting lives and getting the right kind of spotlight on you. We're going to talk about that and more when we come back. Don't you go away. Great time to share the broadcast out. We'll be right back.
People, when they're trying to really get focused and productive, to ignore the hey bros because they're low priority. Your motivation, create your checklist, and then that's the formula, man.
We have an amazing event at the Stan Mansion in Chicago. It is called The Power of We, run by my man, my boy, Mr. Lauren Harris. here because I will too, and I hope to see you guys soon. Peace!
Welcome back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Mackles Harris. Before we get Dr. Rob Garcia back in here, it's that time again. That's right. I have one every day. I made a small decision that made a big difference in my life. I gave up the Diet Coke, the Red Bull, and all those drinks that weren't serving me and replaced them with this. Why? Because it's 60 calories, first of all, in every can. It's 100% pure vegetable juice from concentrate, and there are 2 servings, count them, 2 servings of vegetables in every one of these babies. Easy to find. Head down the juice aisle in your local grocer, and you'll find it. In my store, they have it right beside the Kool-Aid boxes. Go figure. V8, get yours today. Okay, Dr. Rob.
They better be paying you for that kind of endorsement. Wow.
They do. And I get vouchers to go get this for every month. So,
That's amazing. I need to step it up.
I always go for sponsors that I already use their products.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, I'm going to do it anyway. Can't we do something here? And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. So listen, before we get into the book part, because I want to talk about that, I want you to talk about this press release real quick. You stepped up and we were able to do something. So you're sponsoring the press release with your company, and we're so grateful. Thank you so much. There you go. Talk about why a lot of people don't understand the press release. They think it's just, I don't know what they think. I know I still don't fully understand why it's so important until I need it and people start asking me for it. But talk about why and when a business should consider a press release, and what's the purpose of one.
All right, great question, Lauren, because there are a lot of misnomers and a lot of kind of darkness as far as understanding press releases. This is a newer service I added about 2 years ago. And so what a press release is, it is a short, think of it as a half news story, but it has to be written a certain way. It's formatted very specifically. And a press release there has to be a strategy behind it, because there are a couple ways you can do it. You can write your press release, send it out to every newspaper in your area, and some of the people will pick up the story or run it in their newspaper. And some newspapers just run the press release as is. So whatever you write, it's going to be verbatim in the newspaper like that.
Okay.
Or they're going to, and this is what we always hope for, or they're going to reach out and say, hey, we want to interview you. We saw your press release, Lauren Harris, and we saw the power of we want to talk about it. We want to bring you in to the Chicago Tribune and run this story, full on front page. So that's some of the things that can happen, because we send out a press release, it goes out to hosting sites usually, and then it'll, like my clients with my new press releases, Bloomberg, NASDAQ.com, Yahoo Finance, Yahoo News, Business Insider, like they've been hung on some very crazy sites. And so you can find them, you get these nice screenshots, you get the brand logo, everything. But a press release is valuable because not only does it get you on these sites that are very heavily read, you could be on the website for Yahoo News and millions of people are going to see your press release if it's written right. But it also invites journalists to come interview you. So it's twofold. And it also is a driver of traffic to your website. So all these things are happening if you have a good press release strategy. So
you just said if it's written right. So how does a novice like myself or any number of people watching today know the difference? We're going to tell them what we need. We give them all the assets, what we can, and then they create this narrative and shoot it back to us. How do we know if it's the right type or not?
So I'll give you a couple of basic tips, because I was DIY at this. 2 years ago, Lauren, I had no idea what press releases is. And
What's
Daniel
DIY?
Curry, what's that?
What is DIY?
Do it yourself.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna show your audience how to do a DIY press release and give you some pointers. Because 2 years ago, I had to teach myself. 2 years ago, Daniel Curry, who's a veteran and an IT guy, he said, Rob, you should probably do press releases. You like writing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I have no idea like how to do this or what they're about. And then, 2 years later, I've made thousands of dollars in these things. Like I would probably guess $15,000 selling press releases, right? Maybe more. So I have a full service agency. So when you're writing press releases, it's not a full story. It's not a full article. A press release can be an announcement. It can be an industry prediction. It can be a promotion within the company. It can be an event announcement, like you're doing Power of We. It can be you won a major award. All these are different types. And I've written them. I've written bio pieces about people like, hey, meet Marshall Terran, the Marine that started a 7-figure company by age 25. That's what I'm working on right now. So press releases can be a couple of different things depending on what you want to happen. So as far as making your own, first of all, you can Google free press release hosting sites. And there are like 3 different websites where you can make one completely free and then just upload it. And then it gets out to hosting sites.
And it works?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it gets out there, but it's not, you're not going to have the crazy results.
Give us the name of one of them for that person that wants to shoot their shot and try it out.
I'd have to Google it, Lauren, because I've got like 9 of them that I'm working with, 9 or 13.
Okay,
so
we'll get one.
Google free press release.
And just Google that, free press release.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's the difference is between a press release versus like a regular story or article. The difference is the formatting. So first of all, it's going to be very short and to the point. You're going to need a headline that has key words. And so what I mean by that, if I were to write about the Power of We, it would have, first of all, it would have military or veteran or both in the headline because that immediately catches the eye of journalists. Okay. Really? Then I would write Chicago because that automatically gets noticed from Chicago area media, right? Newspapers, TV stations. So I would write something about Chicago, and then I would write something about the topic matter, which is talented children from rough neighborhoods, low income, whatever, so that anyone doing a story that's uplifting and wants to help kids, any journalist that wants to do the story will see it immediately. So right away, the headline is you have to have 3 to 4 terms that are going to catch the eyes of journalists. So you can't just write something, Lauren Harris is doing a conference. Well, okay, great. You have to have stuff that's going to show up in Google and hashtagable and all these things. So that's the title. Then you write a basic paragraph about what the meat of it, like the subject matter. You have a second sub-paragraph with some details about it. So I would talk about your background in the second one. The third one, industry statistics. So I would talk about low-income kids in Chicago. I would talk about maybe conferences. I would talk about juvenile crime that we avoid when we give kids something positive to do. So you have to have some industry stats. Then you have a quote. Then you have contact info. Then you have a photo. So as you can see, Lauren, it's very structured. You can't just get out and just write one of these things, send it out, and hope it's good. You have to have. I read 7 books to learn how to do this.
So let me ask you, with the photo, let's use Power Week because we're doing one. So I would think that the photo should be of like the logo with some kids.
Could be.
But you requested a photo of me.
Yes, because you're recognizable. You're on Google. You're already famous. Let's put it out there. But the story is about you hosting the event. Believe it or not, it's not about the event. It's more about the power of Lauren creating this event, attaching his own star power, his own fame to it. So that's why I want a photo of you.
Okay. So what do we expect when someone's like, okay, I'm doing this because it's not just an event. It may be a new change in your business model. It may be someone you're bringing aboard that all kinds of different little things. I don't want people to think the only time a press release is important is if, you're having a baby or you're having an event, So could you give people a couple other examples of when it might be a great time? Like I would say, what about like, say, you've done something notable and now you have a book coming out or, because a lot of people, do they miss opportunities to capitalize on some type of accomplishment because they don't?
Oh, absolutely, Lauren. And so let's say I write my next book. Like my last book was Next Level Supercharged. Like the next book I write is going to be so much more expansive because now I would put out a press release. I would, if you get a media interview and you show up on TV somewhere, you can write a press release about that. Lauren Harris featured in the Chicago Tribune. Here's the story and blah, blah, blah. You can write press releases about media interviews that you've had. You can write them about significant events in business, any type. If you announce a new service, a new coaching program, whatever you're doing, if you have some kind of business related news to your business or something has happened to you that's positive and you want the world to see it, that's what a press release should be used for.
Okay. And say if you're having an event and you have some notable speakers, say there's a speaker, somebody's having a in-person thing, and say Les Brown is the keynote. Would they want to mention that in the press release, like any names that might, or is that considered name dropping?
No, they absolutely want to mention it because they can hashtag Les Brown in the press release as well. And then there's also, what's interesting about press releases, you have the option to add keywords. So you can add business, finance, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be associated with journalists that write on those topics. But yeah, absolutely. Like, don't be scared to name drop. Don't be scared to add people or significant nonprofits that are associated with your thing, your sponsors, all these things add to the flavor of the story.
Awesome. Can you tell, I don't know if you have them memorized, probably. I guess if I had written 8 books, I'd know every last one of them. So tell us about these 8 books.
Okay.
Take us through them.
Okay. So as you know, Lauren, I'm known for speed learning. I'm known for having a severe learning disability. I can't focus in a classroom. I failed out of high school. I moved 16 times as a kid. I failed out of 2 colleges. I barely made it through the Air Force tech school because my mind wanders and I can't sit still and take classroom instruction. I just can't. I became a professor, the irony.
Right.
But and a high school teacher as well. So I taught myself how to write books and I taught myself the structure using lulu.com. I'm always the do-it-yourself guy. I taught myself how to make a magazine. And so
.com.
Yeah, I'll drop the link in chat here. So if you haven't heard of this site, it allows you to write books for free. It gives you a sale page. You upload a PDF, you upload a cover, and you're an author. And guess what? It goes out to Amazon. It goes out to Barnes & Noble online. You could charge whatever you want for it, and you keep your royalties, you keep your rights, and they just mail you a check every quarter. It is a wonderful thing.
You think? Wow. Yeah. Is it LOO or LULU?
LULU. Lulu.
Oh.
Yeah. So I popped it in chat, the link for it. So it's a lot easier to use than you would think. There's instructions on it. You pick your book size, and then here's the awesome part, Lauren. It's only print to order, which means you don't have to keep an inventory. You don't do your shipping. Lulu does the shipping when someone buys. So it just cut out the middleman. You don't have to have 100 stacks of your books in your living room.
Right. Now, Ross McCreary, did you hear that? See? And Ross, I left you I think it was a text message or something. But look at what he just offered you right there. Look at that. See, I'm telling you, purpose is something else. Ain't it, y'all? Ross, you know what I'm talking about. No, I'm just put it out there. Ross and I were talking yesterday about, he's trying to get his book together. But, he needs to be as, conscientious as ever. They got a big family, got things going on. And so now, thank you. I mean, that's what I love about Illuminated Conversations right there on your screen. Lulu.com, you guys. If you're trying to figure out how to get a book out of your system, I'd start right there. You never know, right?
Lauren, I'll tell you really quick. My record for one of my books was 6 hours. I'm talking thought in my brain to publish 6 hours. When I hear people like, I need 3 months, I need 6 months to write a book. No, you don't. You need structure and discipline. So
Vicky Alcalachi said that she writes books in a weekend.
Yeah, I'll tell Ross right now how I did it. I'm going to tell your whole audience how I did it. Okay. There is no like weird secret sauce or anything. So the first thing you do, the most important part is the outline. You get a piece of paper, you just brain dump everything you got. So you're going to write, and this is only for nonfiction. Okay, so if you're writing fantasy novels or something, that's a whole different story. But for nonfiction stuff, you're teaching people how to do something, you're writing a bio, something. You get your piece of paper, you write your outline, you write down 8 to 12 chapter ideas. Bap, 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 bap. Then you write down 3 different subtopics for each chapter that you want to write about. So that's your content and your structure. The next thing you do, okay, what if I wrote about this? Like you start doing the kind of ideas that didn't quite make it to the finalized content, table of contents, but the stuff that I might want to add this later. And you just start brain dumping all these crazy ideas. So that's, now you have your content, your structure. The next thing you do is layout ideas. So when you're doing a book, you have to think about your fonts. You have to think about features, right? So every single chapter in this book has a title page with a photo and a description of what you're going to read about in the chapter. And
is that one of your books?
Yeah, this is one of my books. So
what's the name of that one?
This one is The Next Level Supercharged. This is my book about speed learning, do any job or skill better.
Oh.
And so I isolated 16 ways to learn something really, really fast and then how to apply it to certain things. But the point is that I did a lot more in layout and design. For example, I have worksheets you can fill in at the very end of it. I've got a bio. So I made all these in Canva and I inserted them in the Word document so that the end book isn't just text. It's got photos, it's got diagrams, it's got a lot of interesting things if you're a learner like I am that needs more visuals than just text.
Are those books available on any of your websites?
Yeah, you can find them on Google. If you just go to The Next Level Supercharged and Google it, Dr. Rob Garcia, it pops up. This was the one that got the most feedback from people because it helped people to learn faster. It helped people with kinesthetic learning styles like me who learn by doing.
Mm-hmm. That's me.
Yeah, hands-on. You need to get your hands on something. You need to try it. You need to do it. You need to experiment. You can't just read about it in the classroom. Yeah.
So if we go to yournextlevelofsuccess.com, one of your sites, is there anything there to lead us to them?
I think you have to straight Google this one because yournextlevelsuccess.com is just links to like hire me for coaching or strategy calls or like design your paycheck, stuff like that. As far as the books go, just The Next Level Supercharged, Google it, it'll pop up. But what was interesting, Lauren, is I came up with 16 ways to learn stuff faster. So it's either emulation or repetition. If you want to learn an instrument, then you have to just play the piano constantly. That's repetition. You have to constantly, work on your instrument and practice. But if you're trying to learn a language, it's more memorization. So depending on what you're trying to do, there's a learning technique that can help.
Now, do you that 10,000 hours they say? Somebody just said that on the show the other day. Y'all remember that? Where they said, you're a master. To master something, that's what they said. They say it takes 10,000 hours. What's your thought on that?
I've read that theory and I think it's interesting, but I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that because that's not factoring in a person's individual aptitude towards something. One thing, because some people, Lauren, can take the stuff like
how do they know that?
Water. What's that?
How would they know that? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. It's just, it's a good benchmark for across the board general population. If you put 10,000 hours into anything, you're going to be decent at it.
You're going to be decent at it, yeah.
But I put in 5 different learning levels: awareness, familiar, proficient, master, and expert. I made up a table of learning comprehension. So because this book's about speed learning. So awareness, you barely know something, a job or a skill. Familiar, you've got some ideas about it. Proficient means you're at the college level. You can teach it to a point. Master means people come to you for advice. And then expert means you can change your industry. You're known in your industry because you're so good at something like, a Dan Kennedy, a Jay Abraham, a Les Brown, somebody like that. So I actually created a skill table to gauge how good you are at something. So that's what's awesome about this book.
Well, I think I know one thing I have mastered that I could probably, but then I think everybody's mastered it. My only one is sleeping. Just saying, I know I've done 10,000 hours of that.
I've still got some work to do on that one, Lauren, for sure. I'm still learning.
Look, the last question before we wrap it up here.
Yeah.
What would you say would be the most frequently used self-sabotage weapon that entrepreneurs are beating themselves down like walk 'em, that mole game at Chuck E. Cheese, where you're constantly beating the thing down back through the hole? What would you say you see people use on themselves more than anything else that is not serving them?
They for sure tell themselves they don't deserve success. All the time. I see it. When I work with clients, the first thing I work on is their self-esteem, because they say, I don't deserve to be successful. I don't deserve to be a millionaire. I'm not the right person for this. And I say, yes, you do deserve it. You can do anything you want. You can have the life of your dreams if you just work hard for it.
If you work hard, yeah.
But it's a sense of guilt. It's a sense of not believing in themselves. Yeah.
Has much changed in your world of helping entrepreneurs with these things since COVID, or is it pretty even Steven still, you think? What worked then still works now? Or
mindsets are different, because I have to tell people, hey, COVID might affect a few things, but it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect your actions. You're still in charge of the person in the mirror. You still make your decisions. You still create your results. So don't, if you have to, turn off the news, focus on you, focus on your actions. A person getting 20 sales calls a week is going to do a lot better than a person getting 2. Okay. There are foundational fundamentals that will always make your business better. Amen. COVID cannot take that away.
There you go. Listen, you guys, do yourselves a favor. Write down the name, write down the connectors. You see one, shiftlifedesign.com is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And then yournextlevelofsuccess.com to check into Dr. Rob's coaching programs. He has some great free Facebook groups. I advise you, I mean it because I'm part of it myself and have been for quite some time now. And like I said, he took me, I started making an additional 40 grand within the first 2 or 3 weeks. And it's still with me. Every penny of it is still with me, writing right here. So it wasn't like it was a one and done. Didn't wither and fall off the vine. As long as I keep doing what you told me, I keep getting what I've got. So I'm excited about that. And thank you for stepping up. I wanted you all to see the face of what a person looks like. Here's one. Don't think that the world is empty and that there are no people in your front row or your circle of influence, as some people refer to it, that would be there if you asked for help. You never know unless you ask. Look inside your own drawers first. Make sure they're organized and not just another junk drawer. You don't know what the hell you got when you have a junk drawer. Think about that one, and join me tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central for our next installment of Bathrobe Moments. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Lauren.
Yep, be the blessing you want to see.
Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time.